is, or markglentonNLP.com, qualified master NLP and hypnotic practitioner. So I'm going to talk to you today about pain. Now, I've done other videos on pain, but things have cropped up today, and so I want to do this video on pain. I'm going to give you a couple of little techniques to help you deal with pain, although these techniques can be used in absolutely any emotion that you've got. So, for those that are in pain, and it does work, there's a few things you can do. You can close your eyes and imagine that it's a mark on your heater or your oven, and you can look at the heat. If you could imagine it being the dial on your boiler, or the setting on your boiler, and you can close your eyes and imagine that's a setting, and then you start to turn the setting down while softening your voice, so you go from 30 degrees, 29, 28, 27, 26, and so on and so forth, down to zero, and then switch off, see what happens. Or alternatively, you could close your eyes and imagine the pain as a colour and a shape. If you can imagine it as a pain or as a colour or a shape, your brain does not know the difference between if it's real or imagined. So if you can imagine it, it's real. Now, on a side note, my son caught me out with this because he says, I believe in magic. And I said, well, magic's not really that real. He said, well, if I believe in my imagination it's real, then it's real. So he's really got me there. Because imagination, your brain doesn't know the difference. So yes, if you can imagine it, it's real. So imagine it as a colour or a shape or both, and then watch the changes. So, oh, it's this colour, so notice that colour and then notice the changes. Because a thought is never permanent, and therefore neither is pain, because pain can be related to the thought. So if you can watch the colour or the shape and then notice the changes, and then when it's changed, look at the colour or the shape that is now become, notice the changes, and it will change again. And gradually, over a few minutes, it will change. And 99% of the time, it changes. And when it changes the feeling of the pain. And when it changes the feeling of the pain, often it's reduced. And then if you can notice the changes of the colour, so for example, I'm noticing this great big red triangle, but it's got to be personal to you. So I'm looking at this big red nasty horrible triangle, but I'm noticing the changes, and as I'm watching it and focusing on it, it begins to change shape. So it might not be a red triangle anymore, it might be an orange square. So then I would say to myself, okay, so it's now an orange square. Notice the changes and see what happens. So now I'm looking at the orange square and I'm focusing my pain levels on it and my attention on it. And as I'm focusing my attention on it, guess what happens? It changes again. And then notice every time it changes, what it's changing into, and notice what the feeling of pain is like. Now, there's many things you could do with this orange ball. You could imagine sticking it on a rocket ship and watching it go up towards the sun, and what would happen when it reaches the sun. Or you could play football with it, or you could throw it away. You could put it in the bin. There's many things that you could do with this imaginary picture. And when you can do that, things like pain, other emotions can just disappear. And other negative emotions, if you can see it as a shape or a colour or a picture, and you move the picture, so you move it to a different location or you change the colour, it will change how you feel about things. So there are many different ways of dealing with pain, and there are many ways of dealing with different emotions. This is just a couple of little tips. You could look at things like spinning energy. So you take the pain, put it in your hand and notice which way it's moving. That works for the emotions as well. Or as I like to call it, flapping energy, because I deal with a lot of people with autism. And a lot of people with autism, they flap when they get anxious or overexcited or things like that. So I play a game with them in my charity work that I do to start to teach them to flap the other way. Because some of them haven't got the cognitive ability to be able to understand what it is. And when they flap the other way, they actually calm down. It's very, very strange, but basically what you're doing is unwinding the energy that's flowing around your body. And that's the same with pain. You have a concentrated form of energy that's in one spot, and it's your brain cells acting when there's no need. Pain is there to send signals for you to act. But when pain is there, when there's no need to act, then it's not necessary. So it's about training your brain to think differently. Now, in my life story, I had a permanent migraine for a very, very long period of time. That is now, I can control that. That's not a problem anymore because I have the ability to do so. And when you can learn the ability to do so, lots of things can happen. Changes can happen. So that's 3 techniques that I've just told you about, guys. Use them, try them out, see if they work. Comment on my Facebook page. I'd love to see your comments. Like and share my page. See what happens, guys. And have a good day.